get saved so they can be played on another day. Rob's Arcade.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Let's go ahead and hop on over to the couch here. Go ahead and sit down, hang out a little bit, and catch up here on Rob's Arcade. I'm your host, Mr. Rob French, Mr. Robert, whoever you want to slice it or dice it. And it's been a little bit, man, I've actually been wanting to catch up with you guys, and then it's like something else will happen, and then I'll wait a day. It's like, all right, well, I'll wait till tomorrow because I want to talk about this thing, and then something else will happen, and it's like it's just then the time has gotten away from me, and as always, being just I usually stay pretty busy with work um, and work. But it's been good. Everything's been awesome. I haven't had any like real issues, but just a lot of stuff. I wanted to do another Friday the 13th video with you guys a couple of weeks ago, um, and I didn't feel like I just excuse me, couldn't get the timing really situated, and I didn't want to rush through it and just sit down and just be like forcefully talking about Friday the 13th because it was Friday the 13th. And then by the time I actually had time to really sit down and digest it, it was a Saturday. I was like, well, I can talk about Friday the 13th on a Saturday. And I was like, well, no, I kind of missed the boat on that. And then I was just like, all right, well, I'll talk about this and that. And then, like I said, it just so anyway, instead of talking about all the things I was going to talk about, let's just go ahead and jump into, you know what, we should actually, let's talk about, um, excuse me, let's talk about some Friday the 13th, actually. Hold on one second. We're going to go back into to the bedroom here, if I can figure out how to work my controller, and we do something a little fun because I did, I did a hardcore run last month, and then I watched a few of the other ones, and I was like trying to find some of the later films. The only ones I really have available are Jason X, Space Station, Jason, as I like to call it, and then let's see here. Is it characters? No. Clowns, crime, cultural, festive, monsters. There we go. Put on my hockey mask. We'll talk a little bit about Friday the 13th because really in watching some of the movies, it was interesting. I was kind of talking about how like probably like the second movie is the one I watched the most, and then really like the first four being the films that I really grew up with. I really enjoy part four of Friday the 13th, and like I said, if you want uh, to kind of jump into some of like what I've already talked about as far as those films go, I did a video last month talking about my love of the films and kind of like my discovery of them, just going back and watching some of the other documentaries, and how it felt like a movie that I was watching all the time, and then I found out, well, yeah, they used to play it all the time on TV because they could kind of get away with how it was shot and how it was edited. Um, but I went back and I started watching some of the other films, and I think my favorites are really four. I love eight, Jason Takes Manhattan, even though there's not a whole lot of Manhattan in the film. Um, I think it's part of, and I believe I mentioned this already as well, that it's just part of the like Ernest Goes to Camp, that Weekend at Bernie's, just these weird kind of quirky films where it's like you take the characters, like out of the normal setting, and it's like, what is this all like? Home Alone in New York, like it's just it was something about the 80s and 90s where you would just take your favorite characters. Police Academy goes to Hawaii, and the location was really the the draw and the major plot piece of the film. So like the fact that it's a campy, silly idea. Like I said, it's almost you could Jason goes to Hollywood, Jason goes to well, Jason goes to camp, Jason goes to jail, whatever. So Jason goes to space, and it was just kind of a motif that seemed to be really popular. But I did enjoy that film a lot. I think specifically for that reason because it was outside of the campgrounds. Um, and then four, we finally get to kill him off. And as I'm watching four, and then going back, and I was watching like five, six, seven, those films in between really focus on the Tommy character. Like Tommy Jarvis is the Corey Feldman character that kills him at the end of the first film, or excuse me, the fourth film. And from there, they start kind of this new storyline. And in the first piece, it's Tommy that we know from being a kid, seeing seeing Jason in his backyard or something like that, and or like some kids are digging him up, and I think it was filmed in somebody's backyard. I think that's why I went there. But he's some kids are digging up Jason, and then we flash forward, and it's no longer Corey Feldman, but we see it's just like a nightmare. It's like Jason comes out of the ground and comes after him. It's a nightmare. And then it's Tommy, but he's grown up, and it's not even like a little bit grown up. Like he goes from like I don't know, maybe like a 12-year-old boy to this like full-on adult. Like 8 years have passed, but it doesn't appear that 8 years have passed in the in the movie. Like in the film, it's just the regular time, and it maybe like 6 months. It's really weird. It looks like maybe like 6 months to a year have passed. It's still set in the 80s, and um, it's very bizarre, but it's a fun movie, and it kind of picks up with the idea that Tommy kills Jason, and he's a little off kilter. In fact, a lot of times by the end of these first couple of movies, like four and five, we start to wonder is he going to take over that character? Is he going to become Jason? And I think they really missed the boat. Like they brought Jason back as like this Freddy character that's like you can't kill him, he's invincible, he can't die. Um, Almost in a Frankenstein fashion, like again this monster. And I think it would have worked so much better if Jason was just a guy, and instead of Tommy killing Jason and then having this battle with him. Because I think in an interview, Corey Feldman said he would love to do like a movie where they reunite and Jason and Tommy reunite and have a big battle, sort of like Jamie Lee Curtis and H2O and all of that. Um, which I think would work. I don't think that is a silly idea. Excuse me, just drinking a little coffee here. Cheers. So I don't think that's a terrible idea, but I think really where the fun idea, I think where the fun idea really rests in all of that is instead of having Tommy come back time after time to fight Jason, I think they missed the boat in the opportunity of having Tommy become Jason. And I think it would have worked, and it's not that crazy of an idea. And not again, not necessarily saying that like Corey Feldman as a kid should have played him. They could have gotten an adult to play him. Um, I think it's something they could have waited on, maybe really crafted a fun script. Of course, back then it was just about getting that video back out to the theaters and out to the rental stores. I love. I have to talk about that. Rental places, rental stores. They were fun. They were great. I had one across the street. I really enjoyed the fact that I was able to grow up with one. But I think the video rental store, in a sense, really destroyed the quality of what movies are, and I'll talk about that one day. I think maybe a whole video just in that. But when you have a handful of film companies that realize, man, the more movies we can pump out, not only can we make profit off of the theatrical release, but also the rental. Man, they were just pumping out anything they could, and just again, like these crazy critter movies and action movies after action movie, and oh, what else can we throw Bruce Willis in? What movie can we throw Arnold Schwarzenegger into this week? And not all of it was bad, but I think it definitely. Anyway, you have the same issue with Friday the 13th. There was no need to wait when you knew if you pumped out another one in 9 months or another one in a year, you're going to be making some money. So I think they missed the boat though in letting Tommy become Jason Voorhees, and it would have worked in the fifth film. They do that exact thing, really. It's really interesting too because they do it. They do that in the fifth film where they have somebody who's not Jason become Jason and just does it as an imposter. And it's a guy who is just an ambulance driver, and his son winds up getting killed in the same like weird loony bin kind of rehab house that Tommy's in. And when he sees his son murdered, he loses it and decides, oh, I'm going to kill all the kids who are responsible for my son, or this whole rehab house or whatever they were. And it doesn't really make any sense. He even had like a mask under the Jason mask that was like a prosthetic mask of like Jason Voorhees deformities. And Tommy was a monster mask maker. Like they established that in the fourth movie, the fifth movie, that Tommy makes monster masks. He's very much the Tom Savini of the film. So wouldn't it make sense that Tommy Jarvis makes a horror mask that looks like Jason and goes around as an imposter? Like he kills Jason, now I'm going to become Jason. But instead, they have it be this like ambulance driver. And maybe that was the thing. Maybe they thought like, oh, well, it's got to be Tommy. Tommy's the one going around doing all this. And so that was a great way to be like, oh, no, no, it wasn't Tommy. It was really the ambulance driver. But I don't think that's the way you play it. I think you let the audience go down that road with Tommy, like make that journey, make that discovery like I'm Jason now, and like I think that's more horrific, kind of establish like here's Tommy, here's this character we know from the first or the last movie, and instead of wondering, oh, is he going to? Because they keep alluding to it again at the end of the fifth movie. They have like the close up and the thunderstorm, and he looks at the mask and he puts on the mask and he is Jason and he isn't Jason, and then he comes back in the sixth movie, and instead of like just ending it, he's actually one of the two teenagers digging Jason up and reviving him. So weird, so bizarre. Like if you watch the fifth movie, he has a nightmare about two guys, teenagers or guys like college age, probably whatever, early college age, digging up Jason and bringing him back to life. And then instead of just leaving it be, Jason's dead. Jason's been dead. It wasn't Jason in the last movie. It was just some weird random guy. Instead of leaving everything and letting it rest, then they dig him up, and it's just some weird Frankenstein motif. Somehow wind up bringing him back to life. I don't know. I don't get it. It's such a bizarre and strange way to handle the story, and I don't know. It To me, it would make more sense just to have Tommy become Jason, right? You can still even do Jason goes to New York or whatever. Jason takes Manhattan. You can still do it. That's and I feel like that would be the miss, and then and just carry it on that way. Like again, Jason's dead. Like Tommy just dies out, maybe just of old age, or he can't do it anymore because you know he's like 80 years old or something at this point, and then uh, have somebody else take over Jason. But instead of you know now Tommy's maybe that old 70-year-old coot riding the bicycle around the camp. You better stay away from. There's a weirdo in the woods, and all that stuff. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like they could have done something really cool with the. I don't know. Why I keep getting stuck on my couch. Um, with that storyline, but instead, like I said, they went to like a Jason Goes to Hell, which I try to find that movie and try to watch that, but I really couldn't find it streaming anywhere, and I didn't want to spend the money on it. Even though it would be a nice addition to the collection of horror movies, it's not great. Like it just didn't really make any sense. They didn't. I don't think really took the time to really figure out what they wanted to do again with the character because I think they just wanted to put something out like as soon as they could instead of like actually taking the time to come up with a cool story. Oh wait, hold on. There you go. I think that's pretty much what I had going there. But it's it's one of those things that if you really look at you know the through line through a lot of these horror icons, it gets wonky at some point. You can't help but, like I said, you're just trying to come up with ideas and like, oh, what's the next? We got to put out the next Halloween movie. So what are we going to do? What's the story? Like the Paul Rudd Curse of Michael Myers and the whole like curse and cult thing. Like, where did that come from? Like, why did it get away from just some guy in a mask going around killing the babysitter? Um, they've done weird things with like the cousins, and then I don't know. They've done some weird things with with Freddy movies. Like I said, I think at some point they ran out of ideas. Um, and instead of actually, like I said, just sitting down and trying to craft out a cool story, it was more about just trying to get that the $5 for the 15 for the ticket and the $5 for the movie rental and the 19.99 for the video cassette. And but yeah, that was kind of my take. That was kind of what I was going to be mouthing off about when I did want to sit down and do a Friday the 13th uh, videos. Like I said, I just think that would have been the great way to go is to carry on the story, but have Tommy become Jason. Yeah, but anyway, hopefully your Friday the 13th was awesome. Hopefully your winter was awesome because now we're also into spring, which really is why, excuse me, I was prompted to jump in here right away and get this done today. There might be a couple of videos with all of this. Like I said, I wanted to be getting some updates to you guys and talking about some stuff since Friday the 13th. And here we are now, like the 22nd, I believe it is, of March. And we're just now sitting down like, a little over a week later, almost 10 days, 10 days later. Um, or is it 10 days later? Let's see, 1, 2, 9. Yeah, 10 days. Here we are. Yeah, 10 days later. Um, and it's been a cool month, man. Like March has been pretty awesome. We even got more snow, which was interesting. Wasn't really counting on that. Um, but all in all, just a lot of cool things have been happening at work, and you know, um, I've just been really stoked and really happy about where I'm at in my workplace and what's going on with everything. And for those of you who have been like following and kind of hanging out with me and keeping up with like my job and some of the stuff that's been going on with that, you know how interesting and difficult it's been. Some of the uncertainty I've had, uh, and then some of the I don't know what the right word is. Some of the comfort too, and knowing that everything has been kind of working out the way that my supervisors and people have been promised me that it would be. But even so, like stepping into my new role, I've kind of made the comment that sometimes I don't get to see what I'm doing pay off right in the moment. Sometimes it takes a little while, sometimes it takes a month. Sometimes it is there. I'm not going to say like every day it's like that, but there's some times in my day where I'm like, is what I'm doing or am I doing the right thing? Is this working? Am I making a difference? Am I making these connections? Am I? And I just it's time after time, I keep getting this like positive feedback, and um, my supervisors constantly name dropping me in meetings and shouting out the work that I'm doing. It's been really, really amazing. But more so than that, I've had the opportunity to um, work with just an amazing staff over the last almost a year. I mean, we're almost coming up on a year now that I've been working with these people, and I've known a lot of them for a long time since I've started working. Um, yeah, it's basically as an associate myself, and Um, now I'm actually overseeing some of the staff that used to kind of help support me and get me through my day. And wow, that's actually kind of really beautiful. It's enough to make me a little emotional right there. That's actually really awesome. I never really put it in those words out loud before, but I've had some of these amazing ladies kind of coaching me and showing me the ropes, and now I'm able to kind of oversee the entire department. It's really awesome. Um, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of stress, it's a lot of hours. Um, and sometimes I mean it's literally trying to make decisions and to help out people who are you know grown adults and should be able to figure out things on their own, and they can't always, and so I have to use all my brain power to kind of help them figure out how to get their kids signed up for something, or what to do with them after school lets out. Like that's really any of my responsibility. But it's my job is to help them with all of that, and then also be there for my staff, and just to be there for the people who need the assistance, and just general help. And it's a lot, and I love what I do. But again, sometimes I wonder, like, is any of this making a difference? Am I hitting the marks? And um, like I said, I get the recognition and the accolades from my supervisors. My direct supervisor, she's a sweetheart and is just constantly supportive. Simple things too, where it's like she's been there and helped me with like meetings and things. And as I'm like, well, you kind of helped me set this up, and it's like, no, you just is amazing, Robert, and like I love this, and actually taking things that I've used in my meetings and adapting them to our full-time staff meetings. And then like how do we implement things that work for them, and that I see that this is like little coaching moments, and it's a lot of back and forth, and it's really cool because as I'm learning from them and they're coaching me, the work that I'm doing and putting out there, they're finding a little bit of inspiration and pieces to work from as well, which is just I think exactly what you want in a a successful dynamic workforce, if you will. But really, what I wanted to get to was the fact that my my staff has also been just super super amazing. A couple weeks ago, I came into work and there was a Spider-Man plushie and a card waiting for me on my chair. And I thought maybe a member had done something. I do have a lot of people who come in and out that are just fans. A lot of kids adore me. A lot of the older ladies adore me as well. So I didn't know if it was like just from one of my fans or what, but it was actually from one of my staff, and it was actually one of the ladies who's been there for me and has kind of helped coach me from the beginning. And we actually we work every Saturday morning together. She's a beautiful lady. I kind of see her like an aunt. She's just like I feel like somebody that at the pool party or around Christmas time, her and I would probably just be vibing and hanging out and goofing off. But we genuinely crack up and have a great time every morning. And we work a bit throughout the week together, but Saturday's our big shift together. And I think by then we're both just kind of like, I mean, I think we both make the joke like, can you imagine if we didn't have coffee, what a disaster this day would be? Because we can't think straight. We don't know what we're doing, but we're there for each other and we're laughing and we're having a good time and we're hugging it out. Sometimes we're crying. It's a beautiful relationship. And she bought me this Spider-Man plushie thing and this card, and it brought me to tears. I could choke up now just again just thinking about it. And it's like it's such a beautiful thing. Like to be that lucky, um, to be recognized like that. It's so cool. And then just a couple days ago, another young lady, again the same one of this other ladies that has been there with me since the beginning, also got me something really sweet and this really cute little card. And it's just like, you know, oh, my alarm's going off here. These people are so amazing, and I'm just really, really fortunate. And I'm gonna jump back into this. I don't want to go too long and have this video ruined because I just can't stop talking about them. But don't go anywhere. Make sure you hit like. Make sure you share this. Hit subscribe so that way you do get all these other videos. If you're a first-time offender here, we talk about all kinds of stuff. And I think, again, share this. Um, Put it on your page. Maybe there's somebody out there, a friend of yours, who might dig this if you're not really vibing with it. There might be somebody out there who does. But please subscribe because there's all kinds of stuff that pop through here from time to time, and you don't want to miss any of it. Really appreciate you guys for popping in. I'm going to take a quick break. We are going to jump right back in where we left off. Um, so yeah, take care of yourself, take care of each other. Don't spend that quarter anywhere else until next time and stuff. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.